I'm Jason Bovada, and these are my 2022 NFL Week 4 picks. Okay, so we still have the Monday night game from NFL Week 3. I'm going to skip that game for this parlay. I do have the Dallas Cowboys and a couple of parlays. I parlayed them about 6 points. So I had the Dallas Cowboys on a few tickets plus 7 points in that game. So, but I won't put them in this game. The first game for the NFL Week 4 slate would be the Thursday night game with the Miami Dolphins playing the Cincinnati Bengals. The Miami Dolphins, I feel like, are coming off of 3 emotional, like real rivalry games. You know, they played the Patriots, they played the Ravens, they played the Buffalo Bills. They're currently 2-1. Tua kind of got injured in this game. Cincinnati coming off of their first win of the season versus the Jets. They did not allow a touchdown. 3 points doesn't seem like too much, but I feel like for some reason Cincinnati Bengals, not because of the get right game. I just think that with the Miami Dolphins blitzing as much as they do, that's going to give Joey Burrow an opportunity to get the ball to his wide receivers a lot quicker at home. They'll probably win this game. I know Miami are 3-0. It's probably not a great idea to take to bet against Miami because Cincinnati are only 1-2. They've already lost 2 games. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys without Prescott, and they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this is not really, it's not necessarily really a good team. They've only defeated the Jets. But like I said, I feel like Miami Dolphins coming off of 3 really tough, emotional games. They don't really have any like smoke with the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati needs this game a little bit more. It's a 2-3 day rest before this game. So Miami having to travel to Cincinnati. I'm going to take Cincinnati. Maybe some weather plays a factor in this game, but I think Cincinnati wins this game. Next game, I believe. Okay, as you can see, the next game, the Minnesota Vikings will be playing the Saints. So this isn't a home game for the Saints because this game will be played in London. This is like the first game. I think this game comes on at like 4 a.m. here in Las Vegas. This is going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to take the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to take them against the spread. I think Cook got injured in this, right? Cook got injured in this game. I'm a little worried about that. But the New Orleans Saints, my problem with them is that they're a really good home team. And with them having to travel to London, I don't see how that helps them at all. Their offense has looked terrible. Basically, I got to admit, they look terrible all season. We're seeing reports that the coach is saying that he's not going to bench Winston. That basically means he's going to bench Winston sooner or later. Minnesota Vikings coming off of a Monday night loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost that game, but they won their game versus the Detroit Lions. A good win, a comeback win for the Minnesota Vikings. That game was at home for Minnesota. They won that game by, 4 points, 28-24. A good win for Minnesota. They needed that. I think them playing this Saints team, we don't know what's happening with Kamara. He came back versus Saints coming off of a loss to the Carolina Panthers. That was their first win of the season. So I'm not really impressed with the Saints. They've lost back-to-back games. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And they've lost to the Carolina Panthers. And like I said, if this was a home game, I would definitely be looking at the New Orleans Saints, but this is not a home game. This game is being played in London. I don't know how that affects each team. So I'll take on a neutral field, the Minnesota Vikings to win that game. The next game will be the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. Wow, this is an interesting one. This is a tough game. These two teams, man, they're playing some really tough schedules. As I mentioned, Buffalo Bills coming off of their first loss of the season to the Miami Dolphins, and the Ravens, as I mentioned earlier, they came off of a win, a very emotional win, physical win over the Patriots. I think, what was the score? 37-26. The Baltimore Ravens put up 37 points in New England. Oh boy, actually makes me want to change this. My pick, I was thinking Buffalo -3 coming off of a tough loss to Miami, but this is a back-to-back home road games for the Buffalo Bills. Oh man, this is a tough one because I didn't realize that the Ravens put up that many points versus New England. That's a lot of points. I don't want to just take the Buffalo Bills on the money line. 3 points doesn't seem like too many points. Ravens did put up a lot of points versus Miami also, right? Man, this is tough. This is actually not easy. Buffalo, Ravens. Should I just take the Bills maybe on a money line? That seems like maybe the easy. I think, you know what, that's the easiest bet, especially for a parlay. If this is a single straight up bet, I would probably take the Buffalo Bills in a revenge situation, trying to put their stamp back on the AFC. They definitely probably would not want to go to Baltimore and lose to a team that the Miami Dolphins just beat also, right? Right. So I think they're in a revenge spot. I do think the Buffalo Bills are a better team. I'm not going to take too much over a tough loss of a division tough loss, right? They play Miami in Miami. But you got to take something from the Ravens, right? Lamar Jackson is almost, I don't know if it's clear, but he does seem like the MVP at this very moment. That's why I'm not going to give them 3 points. I think the Buffalo Bills can pull out a win here. I can't take almost either team against the spread. If I was looking at against the spread, I would probably lean towards the Baltimore Ravens getting 3 points at home. Next game, kind of a tough one. I don't think this is going to be as tough as it seems. I'm just a little worried. What do the Giants look like tonight? Tomorrow night. As I mentioned, the Giants still have to play the Dallas Cowboys. Are they at home for that game? Are they back-to-back home games for the Giants? That's interesting. So because we don't know what happens tonight, and we have seen that Chicago Bears offense. They just played the Houston Texans. They won that game. Did they cover? I don't think they covered. What was the score? Let me see. Let's see what was the score of that game. Chicago. Where's the Chicago game? Oh, Chicago 23, Houston 20. So they definitely did not cover at home. I'm gonna take the New York Giants to cover at home. This is a blind take. Giants with Barkley. I think he led the league in rushing yards before this game, before the start of this week. Either way, I think the Giants are 3 points better than the Chicago Bears. The Bears seem to play a lot better at home. They did defeat the San Francisco 49ers. They put up some good points in that opening week game, but they lost their second week game to the Packers, and they barely won versus Houston. Houston's an interesting team this season. I wouldn't say a good team at all, but they're interesting. They definitely stay close in games, but I think the New York Giants are, I just think from everything, the New York Giants are 3 points better than the Chicago Bears at home. So I'll have to take the New York Giants. Even though we don't know what they look like tonight, we can have an injury, right? We can have a bunch of injuries for the Giants, but at this very moment, I'm going to have to take the line, because if the Giants come, if they beat the Cowboys by more than 7 or 10 or anything like that, this line may move up to like -5, right? That's where I have this line. I have this line at -5. So I'm going to take the New York Giants. They, like I said, at the end of the day, they're just 4 points better than the Chicago Bears. The Giants may not be one of the best teams in the league, but they are better than the Bears. The next game, I don't understand this line at all. I'm going to have to really jump heavy on the Atlanta Falcons. In fact, you know what? You have to take favorites to win. I can't understand why the Atlanta Falcons, coming off of a very impressive win in Seattle, right? a very, very impressive win in Seattle. Atlanta Falcons just spent the last 2 weekends on the West Coast. They played well versus the Rams. They lost that game, but they did play well versus the Rams. But now they went to one of the hardest stadiums to play in Seattle, and they won that game. They won that game. So I'm going to have to take the Atlanta Falcons to defeat the Cleveland Browns. Atlanta's getting 3 points. I have to take. It's a little. Yeah, I'll take the plus 135 for Atlanta Falcons to win the game outright. I'm not impressed with the Cleveland Browns offense or their defense. I'm always going to remember them for the team that lost to. They defeated the Carolina Panthers, but I think they lost to the Jets, right? Isn't that the loss they had? So I'm gonna always remember that. That game was a home game for Cleveland, and this game is a home game for Atlanta. Their offense is clearly underrated. I don't know why people are not paying attention to Drake London. People are not paying attention to Pitts. Atlanta Falcons have a really good team. They're clearly undervalued in this spot right here. Atlanta Falcons wins this game outright. This is probably one of the easiest picks on the board, and I'm not even joking. The next game, Jacksonville Jaguars still not getting any respect. Plus 7 points, but maybe this could be a little bit of the Eagles, but I think it's even. I can't even say it's a little. I think it's not that much of the Eagles. I mean, it is obviously that much of the Eagles, but some of it has to be the Jaguars because normal home teams get about 3 points at home. So the Eagles getting minus 7 points is clearly disrespectful to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if this line moves down. I do feel like sooner or later, maybe this line ends at plus 5. That seems like a lot of points to be given the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles looked clearly amazing. They put a stomping on the Washington football team. That was basically a home game, even though they were playing in the Washington football team stadium. That was basically a home game. Now they have a home game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars actually lost their first week game to the Washington football team in that stadium. So there's the common bind there. Jacksonville Jaguars coming off of a very impressive win. What did they put up? 38 points? Let me see what was the Jacksonville Jaguars score. It was Jacksonville Jaguars. What was that? 38-10. Wow, what happened there? 38-10 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Everybody loves the Chargers. The Jags went into that game. Wasn't they like plus 7 in that game? For the most part, they were plus. I think the final line was like plus 3.5 when I woke up today. I was like, oh, okay, someone knows something. But the Jacksonville Jaguars won that game outright on. Even though they were underdogs. 7 points is way too much. I'm not going to ever forget that the Philadelphia Eagles gave up 35 points to the Detroit Lions at NFL Week 1. So because it's a parlay, it's a large parlay, we're having a little bit of fun here, I'm just going to take the Eagles on a money line. It's not that I don't trust them to win this game, but I can't give up 7 points to a Jacksonville Jaguars. I think if anything, I almost never take over and unders, but 47 points seems very low, right? Eagles, let me see what the Eagles scored this week versus the Washington football team. Eagles, let me see. Eagles, what did they score? Hold on, everybody. Eagles scored 24 points. Jacksonville scored 38 points. 47 points in this game seems kind of low, right? So if anything, I'm probably going to tease the over in that game, get like an extra 6 points on that, take that line from 47 down to 41 points, right? So I'm going to definitely look at teasing the over versus with this Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Eagles. As I mentioned, the Eagles gave up 35 points in NFL Week 1 to the Detroit run-heavy Detroit Lions. So I think the over hits probably easy in that game. Next game, we have the Houston Texans they have not been a favorite in any game this season. They've been an underdog in every game this season. They've covered in every single game. Houston Texans getting only 6.5 points versus the Chargers. You would think probably on a normal line, the Chargers probably be giving like 9-10 points in this game. The Lions have started to move down very recently. Like, remember like last week we went into the week and almost every game was like 10 points, and now we don't have almost any 10-point games anymore. This week there was some blowouts, but a lot of close games. Let me see one. Yeah, a lot of the games were actually like within a touchdown. So we're starting to see that happen. Let's see. Houston Texans. I should probably just take the Chargers on a money line, right? Chargers most likely win this game. As I say, Houston, they're good. They're a good team to pick to cover, but they haven't won a single game this season. They have tied the Indianapolis Colts, but Indianapolis Colts are not that impressive at this moment. At this moment, they're not that impressive, even though they just defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not really sold on Houston Texans winning this game. They did keep it close versus Denver, but as you see, Denver almost never puts up more than 20 points in any game. Los Angeles Chargers coming off of a pretty bad loss, right? They lost by 28 points at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars. What can I say? The only thing I can think about this is that Herbert has a lot more time he played today, so his injury did not look like it was going to keep him out of the games, but I'll take the Chargers just to win this game. I can't give 6.5 points. As I said, the Houston Texans have covered every game this season, and they've been one of the highest underdogs of every week. They were like minus 8.5 versus who did they play? Versus the Colts in NFL Week 1, and they covered that game. So I'm not going to give 6.5 points for the Chargers, who just lost by 28 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Chargers win this game. Next game, the New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow, this parlay is literally insane. I'm taking the New York Jets plus 3.5 points. What are we even doing out here? Pittsburgh Steelers, that offense is, I think they average 1 yard passing, right, per play or something like that. And I think it's like 4 yards or something. It's really embarrassing. The New York Jets, they're a sneaky, interesting team, right? They're a sneaky, interesting team. I believe Zach Wilson is coming back this week. That's kind of a up in the air thing. Flacco has been playing great for them, right? So, in my opinion, I think if they get Wilson back, he's probably ready to go. And I think that probably will add to this offense. I know a lot of people are still doubting Zach Wilson, how good he is. But I think the New York Jets playing the Pittsburgh Steelers with that really, really terrible offense. Pittsburgh will have 10 days before this game. Pittsburgh lost their last game on the road versus the Cleveland Browns, but I'm not really sold on the Browns this season almost at all. So if you're going to give me 3.5 points for this New York Jets team, I think they're undervalued here. Zach Wilson comes back. Should I take the Jets to win the game? That's a little bit too much. Pittsburgh does have one win this season. That was a road win versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't want to take the Jets to win this game. Should I take the Jets to win this game? Do I think the Jets... See, that's too much, right? That's a little bit... I'll take 3.5 points because they can lose on a field goal, right? But I'm not going to take them to win the game outright. That's just insane. The next game will be Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions. Wow. Seattle Seahawks have not impressed me at all. They only have one win this season versus the Denver Broncos. That was at home. They're coming off of a loss to the Atlanta Falcons at home. So both teams coming off of a loss. Detroit lost their last game versus the Minnesota Vikings. They were leading most of that game. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions minus 6 points. I'd rather take them on a money line, but I've taken a few too many money lines. And I'm super not impressed with this Seattle Seahawks offense. I'm super not impressed with the Seattle Seahawks defense. That's the thing I worry about with the Seattle Seahawks is going to be that defense. The Detroit Lions, low key, have been putting up a lot of points. They put up 20 points, 24 points on the road versus the high-powered Minnesota Vikings. So if you're going to give me maybe one touchdown, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions to defeat the Seattle Seahawks by at least a touchdown in this game. I think they could beat them by 10 points in this game. I have this line at 2 points plus, so I think Detroit Lions should be -9. I think this should be one of the largest lines of the week. Detroit wins this game. I'm not betting on Seattle almost ever this season. Next game. Okay, this is kind of a tough one. Both teams coming off of their first win of the season. I think the Colts are getting overvalued because they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs gave them that game. But how much do you want to put into the Tennessee Titans victory over the Las Vegas Raiders, who are now 0-3? I live in Las Vegas, so I'm not a Las Vegas Raiders fan, but, you can feel it in the city. People are just sad. Like, I thought that team was going to be way better than that. But I'm going to have to take the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5. I feel like they look better. I think this is a division game for these two teams. The Colts are just completely untrustworthy. They were the number one line spread in NFL Week 1. They did not cover that game. Were they under? I believe they were underdogs versus Kansas City Chiefs, but they did cover and they won that game. Lucky. That was a lucky win for the Colts. I really do think it was a lucky win. But it was a home game, so they have back-to-back home games. They're gonna be feeling really good. I just think this could even be a field goal game. This is a very tight game between both of these two teams. I don't see either team blowing out. I don't see this line being above 7 points for any team. I wouldn't give Tennessee 7 points or the Colts 7 points. This will be a close game. If this line was 2.5, I wouldn't take it. I would just leave. I would say, neither team are trustworthy at that point. But we do have two of the best running backs in the AFC, if not in the game, Jonathan Taylor versus King Henry. I'm going to take the Tennessee getting 3.5 points. Yeah, that seems like a good bet. The next game will be the Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys giving 3 points at home versus the Washington football team. Both teams, Washington football team will be coming off of I can't say both teams, but Washington football team coming off of a home loss versus the best team in the East at the moment, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 3-0. So you can't really take too much from that game. But the Commanders did lose versus the Lions. So Commanders coming off back-to-back losses. Cowboys coming off of a pretty impressive win last week versus the Cincinnati Bengals. That offense is official. Obviously, we don't know what the Dallas Cowboys are going to look like. I can say in about 3 minutes. Tonight versus the New York Giants. That's going to be a Monday night game, NFL Week 3. So because of that, I have to take the Dallas Cowboys just on a money line. I don't want to give up too many points for a division game. Washington Commanders, they're not a good team. And I don't want to give up 3 points, right? That's basically the only reason. I do think Cowboys win that game. And even if the Cowboys win tonight versus the New York Giants, this line will probably move towards the Cowboys. I don't really see the line moving towards the Washington football team, right? Maybe if Cooper Rush does get injured for the Cowboys, then they'll be down to the third string quarterback. So I don't really see this line moving towards the Washington football team. So obviously with the Cowboys being at home, base is -3 points. So this line can move towards 5-6 points maybe if the Cowboys win tonight. I like the Cowboys defense a lot more than I like the Washington football team's offense. I'll take the Cowboys just on a money line. The next game we're going to have is the Arizona Cardinals coming off of a pretty disappointing loss at home to the Los Angeles Rams. Cardinals tried to stay in it. Murray had some crazy throws. This is a little bit tough. I'm gonna take. I'm not impressed with the Carolina Panthers. Them losing their opening week game at home versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm not gonna forget that for a while. Cardinals. Do they play better on the road? Is that it, or do they not play better on the road? They did win that game versus the Las Vegas Raiders on the road. I'm a little biased because of that. So if you're going to give me the Cardinals plus 1.5 points, I'm going to have to take the Cardinals plus 1.5 points. The best player in this game is Kyler Murray, clearly. Not Carolina Panthers, Mayfield. I can't trust him at home. Before this, who did Carolina win against today? Let me see. I think I fell asleep during that game. Carolina defeated, let me see, the Saints. Carolina defeated the Saints at home 22-14. What kind of line is that? 22-14? That's interesting. So back-to-back home games for this Carolina Panthers team. I do feel like the Saints have a better defense than the Cardinals. I'm a little worried about that. But I think the Cardinals have a way better offense than the Saints offense. So the Cardinals will put some pressure on this Panthers offense. I don't think the Panthers offense will be able to keep up with the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals, should I take them to win the game? You know what? Let's take them to win the game, right? Because 1 point, I don't think they're going to lose by 1 point. So I think they win the game outright. So it's always fun to take underdogs to win the game outright. The next game will be the Green Bay Packers versus the New England Patriots. This line is moving. See, this is going to be clearly the highest line of the week. Mac Jones did clearly get injured. He limped off the field. He couldn't put any pressure on his left leg. I think he already had a brace on that left leg. So the Green Bay Packers coming off of a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that was a road. Was that a road game for? Let me see. Was that a road game for Green Bay? I think that was a road game. Yeah, that was a road game for Green Bay. I know there was some talk out there that the Packers didn't play well in Florida. I'm going to take the Packers minus 9.5 points versus the New England Patriots. Patriots have been dealing with a lot of injuries. I think Mac Jones probably won't play. I cannot imagine Mac Jones plays in this game. I think that's why this line is at 9.5. Packers probably win this game by like 14 to 21 points. Patriots will not have Mac Jones in this game. It seems pretty obvious. When I'm thinking of him, like when I say limping off the field, I mean him basically hopping off the field on one leg because he could not put any pressure on his left leg. I cannot imagine the New England Patriots send him to Green Bay with that type of injury in 6 days. So I'm going to have to take the Green Bay Packers with an easy victory. One of the largest wins of this weekend will probably be the Packers over the Patriots. I have this way above 14 points for the Packers with New England not having Mac Jones as their starting quarterback. The next game, I can't take the Kansas City Chiefs minus 2.5, but the Bucs have not looked good this season. I don't think Brady has thrown for 250 yards in any game. He has literally no receivers that he threw to last season at the moment. Fournette is still there. Buccaneers coming off of a pretty tough loss to the Packers. It was closer than the final score. It was closer than it seems. The Packers 14, the Buccaneers 12. They missed the extra 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Very low scoring game there. But I don't think this, because of that, with the Buccaneers only scoring 12 points last week at home. Kansas City Chiefs coming off of a loss to the Cardinals, to the Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs just had too many mistakes in that game. It was basically special teams in that game, even though I believe Mahomes threw an interception at the end of the game. And Mahomes was having an argument with, not an argument, just a heated conversation with Eric the Enemy, the offensive coordinator. That didn't look good for the Chiefs. We don't know if is that a bigger issue there. Could there be a bigger issue there, or was that just a heated conversation that they just had a disagreement heading into halftime? But the Chiefs still ended up losing the game to the Indianapolis Colts. Chiefs. I want to take how many money lines? I feel like I have so many money lines in this bet. I have so many money lines, right? Oh, this is not a good bet. I gotta take Kansas City minus 2.5. Is there another? Well, some of the money lines I have are underdogs, right? That's good. Should I take? I don't want to take the Chiefs. I don't want to take them on the money line. It doesn't seem fun. We might as well take the minus 2.5 points. They probably win this game. I have this line at, I feel like always 2 points. I've been adding to almost all the teams that I like. So that's a good sign. I think the Chiefs should be minus like 5.5 points versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this spot. I really doubt Julio Jones will be back for that game. But Mike Evans will be back in this game. But, I mean, that just gives the Buccaneers literally, I don't want to be disrespectful, but one starting wide receiver on the team, where the Chiefs have like 5. Chiefs have a way more high-powered offense. Them coming off of like I said, a pretty bad loss. They were 2-0 heading into the Indianapolis Colts game. They lost that game on the road. This is back-to-back road games for the Kansas City Chiefs. But we're just trying to have some fun. We want to have the most out of this parlay. So I'm gonna have to take the Chiefs. Minus 2.5 points to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. Like I said, Brady just hasn't looked good this season. I think there was at one point I looked up and Brady only had like 155 passing yards in the game versus the Packers. And like I said, Buccaneers only scored 12 points this week at home. I'm going to have to take the Kansas City Chiefs minus 2.5 points versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. So there we have it. We're gonna go with a 14-team parlay. This 14-team parlay is plus 31.9709. We're taking the Cincinnati Bengals on what was that, a money line bet? Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals on a money line versus the Miami Dolphins. Dallas Cowboys on a money line versus the Washington Football Team. Buffalo Bills on a money line on the road versus the Baltimore Ravens. The New York Jets plus 3.5 points at Pittsburgh Steelers against the spread. The Green Bay Packers minus 9.5 points against the spread versus the New England Patriots. The Detroit Lions minus 6 points against the spread at home versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Philadelphia Eagles on a money line at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Giants minus 3 points against the spread at home versus the Chicago Bears. The Atlanta Falcons are favorites. Underdogs at home. We're taking them on a money line versus the Cleveland Browns. Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 points against the spread on the road versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Los Angeles Chargers on the money line at Houston Texans. The Arizona Cardinals on a money line at the Carolina Panthers. And the Kansas City Chiefs minus 2.5 against the spread on the road versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this bet will risk $3.01 to win $9,623.23. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my 2022 NFL Week 4 picks. We're taking the Dallas Cowboys on a money line, the Buffalo Bills on the money line. New York Jets plus 3.5. The Green Bay Packers minus 9.5. The Detroit Lions minus 6. Philadelphia Eagles on the money line. New York Giants minus 3. Atlanta Falcons on the money line. The Tennessee Titans plus 3.5. Los Angeles Chargers on the money line. Arizona Cardinals on the money line. Kansas City Chiefs. Where did that Vikings come from? Oh yeah, Kansas City Chiefs minus 2.5, and the Minnesota Vikings in London on the money line versus the Saints. Will I go 14-0 or will I go 0-14? So let me know, what are your NFL Week 4 picks? Who's your favorites? Who's your favorite? What's your lock of the week? Who's your favorite home team of the week? Who's your favorite road team of the week? And who is your favorite upset/dog of the week? And which game are you looking forward to watching the most? I would say Buffalo versus the Ravens, right? How good of a game is that going to be? Philadelphia, low-key versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to see what happens there. Atlanta Falcons at home. I want to see how they play. And then, obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not too much heat heading into this week, right? I feel like the first few weeks, a lot of like personal games, but these games this week is going to be interesting. Buffalo Bills versus the Ravens. How good of a... I think that's going to be basically the best game of the week for NFL Week 4. I am Jason Bovada. These are my 2022 NFL Week 4 picks. We have a 14-team parlay, risking $3.01 to win $9,623.23. Thank you for watching.